Todd Bowles made it official on Monday. He named Josh McCown the Jets starting quarterback for Week 1, his debut coming against the Bills. It was the expected conclusion to the months-long competition between McCown, Christian Hackenberg, and Bryce Petty, and wraps up what can aptly be called an ugly quarterback competition. But they had to name one. This is where they land. You know, really no surprise here, I don't think.
There was a minute where Christian Hackenberg, those people within the Jets facility were convinced that he was going to suddenly have this breakout year. Like a minute.
Like 60 seconds.
Maybe 2 minutes. Seriously, there was a couple weeks where they were really giving Hackenberg the chance, and what we saw in the preseason showed that he is not there yet. Maybe they'll continue to develop him. Ultimately, though, you know what I think this comes down to? With the first overall pick in the 2018 NFL Draft.
You've been wanting to say that the whole show.
The New York Jets select. We'll see.
Well, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah.
No, I mean, look, if we just compare this to the Detroit Lions situation, all right? Here they don't have a quarterback. They don't have any really wide receivers. They have a running back that they're trying to shop now. They have, I mean, this is a team. You think it's so easy to go ahead and just say, well, you know, we can build the rest of the football team and we'll just kind of piecemeal the quarterback position together. And you just cannot, because of how much he influences everything else on the roster, particularly on the offensive side of the ball. When you have mediocre, subpar quarterback play, it just absolutely paralyzes everything that you can do in today's game. Again, this isn't 1970. These aren't the 1970 Pittsburgh Steelers where you can just turn the ball and hand it to Franco Harris and Rocky Blyer and just, you know, and run the football and just kind of control the. That's not the way the game is played anymore. And the Jets right now, look, the mistakes that they have made at this position are epic. It's epic from a management perspective, and they're paying for it now. And they're going to pay for it this year with their record. And Jets fans are going to pay for it too.
And there was a lot of indication of that, too, after, you know, Bill O'Brien left Penn State and how things looked with Hackenberg then. And you have to go back to the original assessment of the quarterback and the Jets just being in this position overall. And then it's kind of like there's an expectation or, you know, you're trying to wait to see if he kind of fulfills or justifies you drafting him at that spot. But, again, we mentioned this yesterday, just goes all the way back to everything that kind of unfolded with Fitzpatrick and then being in this position now. And it's just impacting the whole team.
But listen, here's the rub. You can look ahead to the draft all you want, but if you can't draft correctly, if your evaluation process is off, it doesn't matter. And they've made some huge mistakes.
And Wendy,
how many
times have we talked about this? And people, if you don't want to believe it, then you don't have to believe it, but it's the truth. It's not just about acquiring assets to go ahead and try and draft players and having a bunch of picks and saying, hey, well, you know what, because next year, since we have this number of ones and this number of twos and blah, it's about the most important part of the process in building a football team is the development and implementation of these players on the football field. And look, we don't know what's going on with Christian Hackenberg as far as how he's being developed and how it's transferring to the football field.
Missed a lot of time last year, and that's understandable.
Because he's already had a lot of turnover as far as the people that are in his ear. I mean, and he has to accept responsibility for it, too. Maybe something is just not clicking. Somehow something's short-circuiting with this kid.
Well, he barely played last year, so it's understandable. But it's like, does he even have the base talent to do and what they need even at the position based on certain things that we're showing at Penn State even before he got to the NFL?
Well, my point, the larger point being this. This is why when you have some of these premium quarterbacks or top 15, top 10 quarterbacks, this is why it's not about what you think they deserve. It's about we got to do whatever we have to do in order to make sure that they don't leave us. Otherwise, we're going to be sitting here in a situation like the New York Jets are finding themselves in and many other teams.
You get what you pay for.
Yes.
That's typically true in football, in life, and the price of not having a starting quarterback is a lot higher.
Unless you play Brock Osweiler when you're in Houston.
Well, there's that. McCown, by the way, here's the thing. He's thrown 4 passes in the preseason, but one of them, that's 25%, was a touchdown. So, you know, they'll take those odds.
Hey, he once led the NFL in QBR for a 4-game stretch while he was a Bear.
All right. Speaking of which, Mike Glennon, apparently the starting quarterback for the Bears, but in reality, there's been little to suggest that they are comfortable with that decision. And in fact,
Wendy, barring something unforeseen, Mike Glennon will be the Bears starting quarterback Week 1 against Atlanta. Chicago's coaching staff was very pleased with Glennon's performance against Tennessee in their 3rd preseason game last Sunday. The question now becomes, though, has rookie Mitchell Trubisky done enough to unseat veteran Mark Sanchez as the Bears' number 2 quarterback? Sanchez did not play in the 3rd preseason game. We expect he will get some time on Thursday night in the final exhibition game against Cleveland. but Trubisky has done very well this summer, better than the Bears even expected. So right now it wouldn't be a huge surprise that if Glennon somewhat struggles in the regular season, that Trubisky, not Sanchez, might be the first quarterback off the bench for Chicago. Wendy, back to you.
Jeff Dickerson reporting. Thank you. Look, of course he's right there in the wings. And don't go to Chicago, man. You can't listen to those guys. They're on the street. They got Trubisky in the Hall of Fame already, despite the fact that he's holding clipboard. Look, it appears to be Glennon. Should the Bears stick with Glennon at least to start the season, Lewis, and let this kid have a little more time?
Yeah, they should. And I'll tell you why. Even though I would like to see Mitch Trubisky play because I really like the player, scouting him coming out of school, and really would like to be proven right, meaning I'd like to see him on the football field sooner rather than later. What's best for his career, though, given what else is surrounding him right now, is to go ahead and let him sit. And that sounds unfair to Mike Glennon because he's going to have a rough go of it this year. He's going to have a rough go of it because this is a very one-dimensional offense that will only have Jordan Howard to really rely on because he has no weapons really to throw the football to. And you think
the receiving core just decimated at this point.
You think that management doesn't know that too? You think management isn't looking out for Mitch Trubisky's long-term developmental health and saying, hey, look, even if we want to put him in there because once the ball is snapped, he's more talented than Mike Glennon, is that the right thing for us to do? And even though you would like to, in order to prove yourself right, like I was saying, the best thing is to go ahead and keep him on the bench as long as you can until maybe the fan base starts,
Well, they've already started. You're going to have to keep them
making a whole lot of
it. You said it too.
Exactly.
It's about the developmental strategy of a player. We were talking about with the Jets, and that's where you have to be careful with Mitch Trubisky to make sure that you put him in the right situation. I can't believe that this is actually working out for the Bears in terms of they paid a franchise guy in Mike Glennon. It looks like they'll throw him to the Wolves this year and allow Trubisky to come up behind him.
Like Ryan Pace planned it. What do you mean?
It's actually seems like this kind of plan that seemed like a befuddled mess on draft day might work in the Bears' favor.
I just wanted to say I talked to Victor Cruz and some other players in the locker room, and they say when you ask them, there's no question that they believe Mike Glennon should be the starter, particularly after what he showed after the third preseason game on that opening drive and just the way he took them 95 yards on 16 plays after he was able to get more of a consistent flow and play longer. They feel like he really proved himself there, and that there's still certain things that Mitchell Trubisky has to work on. But I just wanted to say this. I was looking at the schedule for the Bears to open the season, just to kind of maybe talk about when Mitchell Trubisky could possibly get a chance. You want to hear this competition? The Falcons, the Bucks, then they play Pittsburgh, Green Bay, then Minnesota, then Baltimore, then Carolina, then the Saints, then the Lions, then the Eagles. The first maybe easy game is December 3rd. Against the 49ers.
Mike Glennon,
so you're
saying
there's a chance.
that Saints defense isn't.
Yeah.
Well, that's your shot right there.
Yeah.
For now,
we'll see though.
For now, the rookie waits, but one team has already named a rookie as their starting quarterback. The Browns did so when they recognized rookie second-round pick Deshaun Kaiser as the starter. He beat out Brock Osweiler and Cody Kessler to earn the starting gig. He will make his debut at home against the Steelers. Here's Diana Rossini with Kaiser yesterday.
Well, I am here with Cleveland Browns starting quarterback Deshaun Kaiser. You woke up this morning, the first Monday now, where you are the starter. Tell me, what does that feel like?
It's weird. Obviously there's 32 of us out there in the world, and to consider myself one of them, this early in my NFL career is a blessing. This is going to be a fun process, but obviously I know that it comes with a lot of responsibility that I look forward to taking on.
Yeah, you are one of 32. You're also the youngest quarterback on any NFL roster right now, and there's some people who think maybe you're not ready for this job. What's your message to them?
This has been a long 3 months in development, in the sense that I've learned so much in this last 3 months that has propelled me to have some success, obviously, in the preseason that led to a resume that allowed me to be the starter. So, obviously, there's a lot of guys who expect experience if you're going to be a starting quarterback here or in this league. And for me, I completely trust in Coach Jackson's timeline. And if he believes that I'm ready to go out there and have some success, then I believe in myself to go do so.
Did he ever indicate to you during the process after you were drafted that this was going to be a work in progress? They were going to give you some time before they put you in there. And did that ever happen, or was it always a competition?
Yeah, this is he definitely indicated it was a process, but he never really gave a timeline to it. And I think that, it's tough to give a timeline to individual guys. To say that, hey, you're 21, you're not ready, or to say that you're 30 and not ready. You never know, because every guy's different. And I think that I was able to prove to Coach Jackson that, through the time that I was able to put in on the practice field and the commitment that I've had to our playbook, that I was going to put myself in a position to at least compete for the job, week one, and now obviously going out and having some success in the preseason that led me to be in a position to start now.